Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Madisonville Marine. Hurricane deck boats, Skeeter bass boats, Suncatcher pontoons, plus aqua patios, crevalles, I could go on. No one in East Tennessee carries more different makes and models of boats than Madisonville Marine. That's all the way from Georgia, North Carolina to Nashville, probably past Nashville. Compare that fact, the number of makes and models of boats, add that to the fact that they've got unbeatable prices and they've got tremendous customer service, and you start to understand why there's no better place to buy a boat than Highway 411 North in Madisonville. Get down and see Joe Special and his team this week. You'll be glad you did. madmarine.com if you can't make it down there. Madisonville Marine. All right, I want to remind you of the poll. We were talking a little basketball there. Let's see how this thing shifted. It looks like 3 times Tennessee should be an underdog. Looks like that's moved into the lead. Continue to vote for us and let us see that thing, see the little lines move. Once we get over X amount of votes, it's hard to make the little line move, but keep clicking, and we want to keep track of that here for the next couple of segments. All right, want to talk just a little bit about Tennessee baseball. Vols now back to number 1 in the nation, which is becoming a regular spot under Tony Vitello. They beat Vanderbilt yesterday. They've taken the first 2 games of that set, so game 3 today, they're playing it, but Tennessee has already won the series. That's 9 straight against Ken Corbin and the Commodores, which has to be a lot of fun for anybody who calls fall baseball games like yourself, Vince. My question is, when you look at this Tennessee team, and let's put up a graphic here. When you look at this Tennessee team and compare it to the last 3, and you see what their winning percentages were, and this one is the second best to that 2022 group. You look at their SEC win percentages and records. This one, second best to that 2022 group. I want to know which team this compares to. And you can see, oddly enough, it was the 2022 group that was the best of those teams on paper all through the season. They only made it to the Super Regional here in Knoxville. Notre Dame knocked them out. The other 2 teams, including last year's, which was clearly the worst of those teams, they made the College World Series. So, Vince, how does this team, when you look at them, how do you compare them? Do they compare to one of these other teams, or is that just a fool's question?
I think the easiest comparison is a 2022 team because of the home runs. They're on an almost identical clip in terms of home runs per game, and they have a chance to get to them or pass them, maybe even to the College World Series if they keep playing. But it's more than just the home runs. This team hits for average, and they put the ball in play so much more than that previous team. That previous team had more home runs, but they also had a lot more strikeouts than this one. So Blake Burke is much better. Christian Moore's 25 of 54 in his last 11 road games in the SEC. And 28 runs driven in, 10 home runs in the last 11 road games. That is insanity. 427 on the season against SEC competition. So they've got a different type of team. Their pitching staff is different. They really rely on 2 starters that come out of the pen. Whereas that 2022 team, they had 3 horses that barely ever lost a game, and they were so dominant. That's why it was so shocking to the system that they lost to Notre Dame. So it's a different type of team, but one that's more battle-tested, that maybe if you put them side by side in terms of talent, maybe this one doesn't beat that 2022 team. But I think this, among all those that you showed, they might have the best chance to have College World Series success because they've been knocked down and gotten back up and won a lot of series.
Can you tell the excitement level? I mean, there's just a 428 on the road. I didn't hear you talking about Nico is going to be doing it. You can tell you're the broadcaster over there. All right, Will, agree, disagree?
I agree. Now, here are the things I think that are different from what we've seen from that 2022 team, but I think it's the one that's closest. These bats seem to travel a little bit better.
Yeah.
They don't have as much from a draft standpoint talent. I thought that you guys had a fantastic interview with the draft analyst from ESPN that broke that down last week. But they don't have top
a little sports
line.
animal on sports animal love there.
That's right. But they don't have the draft level talent. They also don't have the frontline starter talent. But it seems like the depth of arms, it seems like the depth of bats, and they do win in different ways. It's not either home runs or it's not gorilla balls. It's not home runs or you're done. They could beat you a whole lot of different ways. So I agree with Vince. I think this team can advance.
Okay, so 2022, which means you're saying they won't make the College World Series. No, just kidding. All right, very good. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. When we come back, LSU's Brian Kelly says LSU isn't going to be buying players. Ooh. It's interesting, considering Tennessee might have just bought one of his this offseason. But we'll give you the responses from Josh Heupel and Danny White, and we'll see who's being more honest among those 3. Come on back on the Sports Source.